Hello, everybody. I'm Will.
And I'm Kristen.
And I'm Rachel.
And this is So I'm Watching the Fall of the House of Usher, Episode 8.
The Raven.
Nevermore.
Nevermore.
It was Bruce Greenwood. I thought for sure Carla was going to say it. Nevermore. But it was, he said it. Nevermore.
Yeah. Well, he was the poet.
And he didn't even know it.
Yeah, well.
You're like, why don't you take a lap?
We'll reconvene when you've come to grips with yourself.
Well, we're tired. We also took a break.
Yeah.
Which bodes for better and worse for our coverage of this. I'm gonna need to spend some time with it. I loved this.
I'll tell you something. This has been on my I must have. Yeah, this has been on my top TV shows of the year since like March. I just knew.
Knowingly put it there?
I just was like, I'm going to be really into this. I'm going to just preemptively put it on there because we knew when it was premiering.
I'm going to need to spend some more time before I would actually rank. But I think for me, this surpasses Bly Manor.
Yes, for me.
And I think I'm still going to give the seniority to Hill House. For me personally,
I think this ties Hill House for me. Midnight Mass is still my favorite.
Midnight Mass is my favorite.
Yeah.
For personal, like for the religion of it really resonated with me in a different way.
I had to take laps during that particular episode of Midnight Mass. I was like just screaming out loud. Yeah.
But this was pretty spectacular.
Yeah.
So we have Verna reviving Roderick.
Yeah.
And basically, I forget what they talked about. She basically said that he couldn't go without Madeline.
He couldn't go without Madeline.
Madeline really thought she was going to bypass that.
Yeah. And also, it was too easy. Just taking pills was too easy.
It was the finale, so it was the culmination, obviously, but we finally got to the meat and potatoes of the 1979 storyline. And basically, this was all part of a grand plan Madeline had.
Yeah.
And they became, because they threw over Dopin, they became the heroes of, like, the company. And they poisoned Rufus with the
Amontillado, the sherry. It also hilarious to me that the CEO of this company is walking around this New Year's party dressed like a literal jester.
Yeah.
Like, how on the nose do you need to be, dude? Like, so on the nose. And then such a fucking clown, not realizing... Well, because, like, that
it's
delivery...
a jester in the story.
Yeah, that delivery from Madeline was so good. She was like, he doesn't know shit about sherry. She was like, he couldn't even taste the cyanide, which has, like, a very pungent flavor by all accounts. And so, it just, like, clowning all over the place, thinking she was actually gonna fuck him in the basement of this building.
Imagine.
Please. Imagine thinking that woman's gonna fuck you. You should be so lucky.
We also did get, funnily enough, my biggest reaction of the series, and it was the jester in the basement after Verna revived Roderick. Yeah. I don't know why.
The light left your eyes.
You were not at home for a minute.
Because I scared you guys more than it did.
I just was like, oh, the jester, and then you were screaming bloody murder across.
I was like,
ah! Yeah, and me, Queen of Faces, are like, hand up here. I just kind of went, and
it truly scared. Yeah. It truly startled me. I had just kind of forgotten, but yeah.
So that is though what they bricked him up in the wall, and
it was right.
They were like, no one's gonna be back at work for like a week. This is also like the new construction, new building. It's like you can't hear anything down here.
And Madeline was cold-blooded, where she was talking about going through the stages of grief, and she's like, we might not get mass anger.
Yeah, that was actually spectacular. Yeah. He did swing to bargaining pretty quickly.
He really did.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I was gonna be like, it was what we thought it was going to be, and it was still just to watch.
So then they went to the bar with their hands covered in mortar, like.
It did. That's so funny because I didn't say. It did look like when you would like clay. Like it looked like when you would do like in school the vase sculpting and stuff. And because I just assumed it was meant to be like dirt, and I was like, that's some really chalky dirt.
Yeah.
And
it checks out. I don't know. I liked it. And then we cut to the end of their night when they're closing down the bar with Verna.
I loved that scene of the three of them just talking to Verna.
Yeah.
Because there was a part, go ahead.
You go first. I've got something to say about Roderick. There was a part of me where
I was just sort of like, do they realize what they're dealing with? Because they were treating it very casual. Well, they weren't. They were behaving casually, but they were treating it like it was a serious conversation.
Yeah.
And I find that fascinating, and maybe this is always the point, and I just never thought about it that way when you make a deal with the devil, but in my mind, I always thought it would be crystal clear that I was making a deal with the devil, and they were able to convince themselves otherwise.
Yeah. Well, they kept just being like hypothetical, right?
Yeah.
And she's like, literally,
no, it's like right on the table right now.
She did say, because I was like, I would think the hypothetical would void it, but no, you're correct. She was like, no. I'm as serious as can be.
I am, I am serious as I am Carly Gugino.
They had just murdered.
Well, and she said it straight out. She was like, you just as well as you killed Rufus like tonight before you came here and blah, blah, blah. And this bartender is perfectly willing to give you an alibi. I don't know. Interesting. It was interesting. I have something to say about Roderick that it was really only the last 2 episodes that really made it hit for me, because for a lot of the whole show, he was only ever being really harsh, like, to all of them. Like, when he was like, we all need to, like, nut up and stick together. Like, that's what needs to happen. But it was, like, the last 2 episodes when he confronted Juno about wanting to get off the pills. And then in this one, I think it's maybe because I like Zach Gilford so much that I was just, like, not... And Bruce Greenwood, to a lesser extent.
Which those were all pickup shots.
Which?
Bruce Greenwood. They had already wrapped production when they brought him in.
Shit. That's wild. Okay.
Every scene he was in.
What? That's insane. That's, like, so good and insane.
Holy shit.
That's so good.
Imagine.
Okay. Back to my point.
The fact that it was that good that it's inconceivable to us only speaks to the grip that Flanagan has on the production as its director.
You can't see the seams of that. So, okay, what's so interesting to me about it is that, like, because I think of how he presents himself, and because we already, even in the past and even from episode 1, have seen how, like, cold-blooded Madeline is, he seems very warm and, like, not, like, the type to get taken under by this kind of thing, but not the type to choose it purposefully. So, with the last 2 episodes, I think they showed enough of their work, but, like, that moment where he was like, I don't care about my living children, I'm making this deal with the devil, I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Like, insane.
And the fact that when he did that, Madeline looked at him was like, are you serious?
And she's the one that had to take a pause, like take a breath about it.
Yes.
Well, he didn't have an iota of a second thought when he was breaking up that wall.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and then it
was startling.
He even says, you know, when he is admitting it to Augie, he was like, I knew what I was doing. I knew that my empire was going to be built on a tower of corpses. And it was like, holy shit, my guy.
Because it's the type of thing where it's like, up until these last 2 episodes, every decision that he's made, we have seen the Madeline scaffolding along that decision. And it wasn't until these couple of things where that was the first time we saw Madeline balk at something.
Yeah, so you're saying that you liked that they sort of undercut her Lady Macbeth-ness.
Just a little. And the fact that they showed him to be quite as cold-blooded as he was.
Well, and Verna even had to say, it can't be one of you, it has to be both of you.
Yeah.
Because he was like down the hatch, and so she was like, okay, so he agrees, and Verna's like, no, you have to do it too. And then she was like, you're right, took a beat, and then she was like, okay. And then she says that I immediately got an IUD, he just kept and I'm like, you are an unimaginable asshole that you didn't just stop with the 2.
What man?
Yeah, I know. But like the fact that you were so fine with just fucking all these people and then bringing these kids into this. Yeah. Disgusting.
And, well, I think it's also because then who knows how many also untold or is it because they weren't acknowledged? Are any of the other kids that might be out there, are they fine?
That.
Like, because apparently he just like wasn't wrapping it up since 1980.
Oh my god!
I didn't even think about that.
Through the AIDS crisis?
Yeah, imagine.
Roderick, please.
Yeah.
Well, he had magic on his side.
I guess, but like, I had a split second thought where I was like, well, if the acknowledgement, so like they automatically have the Usher last name, but Camille had España as the last name.
Yeah, but she was still acknowledged. I don't know that like the actual name matters. Like the legal name, I'm not sure. Because Victorine was...
And Verna made it clear, I mean, there could be other children, and they could have died, and it would have just been peaceful or accidental. I don't know. I didn't even think about that. That's an interesting
But I just, like,
notion.
that's the kind of thing, because for me, it did kind of, like, because it's specifically Zach Gilford and Bruce Greenwood, it did the promising young woman thing, where it's, like, Adam Brody or Chris Lowell, and I'm like, but you're Matt Saracen, like you're not supposed to be a bad guy, like what is this? And so it was really fascinating to me, that kind of the hard switch we got at the end.
Madeline also had this gorgeous monologue where she washed her hands of the blood that was on them by being like, hey, you can say I killed those people, I can say those people made me kill them. Like,
or they were asking for it.
They were begging for it. And I like that this was more nuanced than it could have been.
Yeah.
This could have been, I mean, very rarely is it subtle. Is it though? It's a little subtle at times.
It's a little subtle, but then there was that at the end of the episode, the literal fall of the physical House of Usher, and I was like,
you were delighted.
Very good.
You kind of were like, 10
out of 10, no notes. I love it. Oh yeah, there was the where he saw Annabelle in the church again.
With a hole in her head, the back of her head.
So she killed herself?
Yep.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, he literally bought her children from her. He said once they were old enough, I offered them enough money and they came to me. Oh God, that speech that she made to him though, where she was like, every time they came back emptier. How could you ever...
You were so rich, but you never fed them.
How could you fill them up with your poverty? And I was like, whoa! Or just drop spin facts over here from Annabelle.
My word du jour is spectacular. So we had a spectacular end to Arthur Pym's story. He got he got further than a lot of people would have gotten with Verna, and Verna admitted as much. That she was like, that was rude of me to play along for so long, but I just had to watch it.
Yeah. I liked that quite a lot. I also, before we get to that, there was the scene that he had with Lenore where...
Arthur?
Yeah, where he was like, okay, it's fine that you said whatever, but I'll talk to the cops. And then, like, you have to do the party line. You're like, your dad, it was, like, tragedy and blah, blah, blah. And she goes, no, he mutilated my mother. And then she was like, literally, fuck you. And she turned around and tapped the cop on the shoulder and was like, I want to make another statement.
And another thing.
17th of all.
But, yeah, he confronted Verna, and basically he committed atrocities on this tour.
But okay,
well, like, he like watched a lot of atrocities.
He was party to atrocities.
Because that's the thing. I was like, if you're doing all of the rest of it, I just think it's kind of rich to draw the line at eating a person that someone else is already eating. Because she was like, you're the only one that didn't partake in eating that Inuit woman.
She didn't say eating. I thought it was our word.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's fine.
I mean, they might have. I assumed. If Verna isn't speaking it, I assumed it was pretty unspeakable.
Yeah, but cannibalism is also pretty unspeakable.
I think it's grape.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think Verna, they didn't put a button on it, but I think she might have been like a fury. Like, she seemed like an ancient, like,
maybe
like
not specifically death, but like some sort of deal-making demonish thing.
She said balance.
Yeah.
Like, that's why I say fury, because furies were goddesses of, like, justice.
Yeah.
They were in charge of seeing through that. Because she attempted
to
make a deal with...
ask Mike Flanagan on Tumblr? He's very responsive.
Sure.
Yeah.
Because she attempted to make a deal with Arthur, and he rejected it, and she was very proud of him.
Yeah.
And then she took him.
Yeah. Well, she didn't take him. She just...
Oh, yeah. No, he went to jail.
Yeah.
right.
I mean, she just was like, on the one hand, you know, the file doesn't get... Because Camille had a file on him with, like, all the stuff. And she was like, It gets
that
found,
just scratched the surface.
Yeah, or it doesn't get found. It's up to you. And apparently he was the only one indicted from Fortunato, the only one that went to prison. It's always that guy. It's always the fixer or the cleaner.
She did end up taking Lenore.
But it was nice.
It was
I
nice.
cried. I was crying during that scene. And
if you want to watch Will cry, you can head on over to patreon.com/soimwatching this show.
It doesn't happen often, but it happens more than I think one might think. No, I mean, it had to, I think, and I knew once her name was Lenore, I was like, oh no.
Well, to me, too, specifically, when she walked in the bedroom and Verna was sitting there, and she was like, they never take me seriously when I say bloodline. Like, they never take it all the way to its conclusion. And on the one hand, I sort of was like, but she's good, though.
Yeah.
Well, she did good.
Yeah.
Like,
well, and over here, I was just like, well, she just said the next generation. So, like, in my mind, that means, the direct.
It did say all future ushers. That phrase was uttered at one
but
point.
so then I realized when she kept talking about the bloodline thing, and I was like, God damn.
But it was beautiful, and it was nice. And
well, because Verna was like, and Verna even said, I hate this part.
Yeah.
And she did it very graciously. Yeah. And she did tell her that her mother recovers and changes the world.
Yeah.
Remarkably.
People,
yeah. Which so much so that they lose track of the lives that her mother
well, because all those people start helping other people too.
That's when I really got going.
It was really sweet and lovely.
I think I said this one of our earlier things, but I am very pleased to report that not only did Juno survive this, but she also carried a torch of change into...
I love that she inherited everything because there was no one else left, which is hysterical to me. And then she dismantled the entire company, sold it for parts, and used all of the money for rehab facilities.
Well, she gave it all. She gave most of it away. What she kept, she started a nonprofit and yada yada. And I love that. And I think that is.
And she got clean off the Ligadone. Mm-hmm. Completely. It said completely. She weaned herself off of it completely.
She's made of iron.
Yeah. I want you to just add it to another check on the hot, super tough chicks named Juno column.
She's a bit more noble than the other Juno, but the descent.
Yeah.
But I really love that. Yes, because I mentioned it. I was like, Cosette, and what's his name? Her lover.
Marius? Does he make it?
Yeah, they make it. They escape. Or am I thinking of Sweeney Todd? I'm thinking of Sweeney Todd.
I think Cosette makes it, but I don't think.
Yeah. I was saying Sweeney Todd, what's her name? He sings a whole song about it.
I love you, Joanna.
Okay. Yes, the two of them right
it's
off.
It's Jamie Campbell Bower too, which is so silly.
The two of them right off into the sunset. But no, I think most, not every story, but most stories do need a glimmer of hope or a hero or something. Yeah. But I think the macabre, the gothicness of this, I like that there was a sprinkling of stuff.
Yeah. There's always enough, in most of his stuff, there's always, enough hope at the end of it, that it's, not totally dreary. Which is why my husband is hit or miss with Mike Flanagan, because he's like, I just want to be scared and disgusted. And I'm like, I need some hope at the end, or it's, not good for him. That's why because we were arguing about it earlier, and I was like, I think, for me, Midnight Mass is, the darkest of them all.
But they all make peace.
Not all of them, and also
the ones that deserve it.
But well, that's the thing. But it's just very. I don't know. It's very dark. To me, it's the darkest one.
I don't know.
All the religion stuff makes me just. Ugh. And Bly Manor is almost saccharine. The ending of Bly Manor. Yeah. It's I loved it. I super loved it. But it's
the Raven set piece was very good.
Yeah.
And I love that it was in the dining room, in the house that we had already kind of seen, and then we get to see it again cloaked in the darkness and the thunder and all of that. Mm.
Oh God, Madeline's eyes.
Roderick betrayed Madeline.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, he betrayed her back. She did it first.
Okay, they were both going to die.
Yes.
Literally no matter what.
Yeah.
And he also, I think he was trying to make it easier on her. So, because he poisoned her, he just was like, it'll be. And also, now who doesn't know about Sherry, bitch? You didn't taste that poison either. Please.
They did stop just short of us watching him remove her brain through her nose.
Yeah, and then he put the eyes in, and apparently it did revive her. She was just walking around, and August was like, "Get me the fuck out of here."
Yeah.
I was very upset. I played myself because I said to Will when we were done that I was like, I was really bummed because I thought that Madeline was gonna look more like a goddess or I was like, I wanted her to be like prettier looking, and Will was like, why would you ever think that? And I was like, more of like a dark Galadriel thing, and so you were like, I mean, he said goddess like 7 times.
He did. He kept saying goddess.
He set a precedent
about the sapphires. I think to me the part that hurt my feelings in this finale the most was when he admitted to August that Lenore was dead, and he was like, she's been texting you all night. And he had to be like, well, no, Madeline's been working on this AI thing, and it's texting me. And it's been texting me all night. So
such a good payoff.
Yeah. And he also was
and
like...
the right amount of flash.
Yeah.
Like, if everything hinged around the AI, I would kind of think, okay.
Yeah, but he also was, like, tearing up when he said it, and he was just... It's just a string of text that all say nevermore in different, like, spellings, basically. Mm-hmm. I mean, wow. Just very good.
And so that's when Augie leaves, and, like you said, the house...
crumbles.
And
well, Madeline comes upstairs and she fucking strangles the shit out of Roderick.
Oh yeah, so she ends up killing him. Yeah. Really good, really fantastic, good performances all around.
I wish I had something more profound to say at the end. Like, I wish I had like my professor, like, and then. But I mean, we were saying it the whole way, and it was just.
It's just good. Really good.
Yeah.
Like it really
and I will
stuck
say
the landing for me.
It is 76 minutes long, but you don't really feel the extra time. No. It was moving at a clip, which I appreciated.
Well, Mike Flanagan, I think, is one of the ones where like his reviews are all 1s and 5s.
Yeah.
So it's like you either get it or you you like it or you don't. And I am usually very captivated by the grandstanding that these actors are doing.
Yeah.
So yeah,
he knows how to write a monologue, man. Mm-hmm. He's good at it.
And this, especially with all of the Poe lines pulled directly from Poe, could have been a clunker, and it really wasn't. And that's a place where I think the names helped, because we talked about how much I loved all of their like stuffy formal names and this like very modern.
Which part of that is very funny to me, because are all the names? Do they all come from the stories? Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
I'm just glad they all weren't named like Bracelin or Ghastly or like.
But like, what was funny to me is I was like, I understand Frederick and Tamerlane because they were his like OG children, but the rest of them, presumably their mothers all named them. So who are these these like just regular woman mothers who are like Victorine and
this
Napoleon.
world is a half a bubble off.
Well, sure. So. Yeah. It was just that was very funny to me.
You'll probably hear more from us as we spend more time with it, and as we let it marinate, let it sit and steep on that. But and it did end with the graves, and Verna showed up and laid a totem on each of their graves.
The rest of them were all like pretty funny, but he just got a whiskey glass, like a cut crystal whiskey glass.
Well, because it was the deal.
It should have been the bottle of.
Yeah.
She should have just dropped. How many $1,000 worth of diamonds in
that? $4 million.
But yeah, I want to keep watching Verna. I'm like, girl, let's go to the West Coast next. Like,
if the Dark Tower doesn't work out, let's do like Verna ! The series.
I just love it. They have no Emmys.
Ugh.
None. Nada.
I don't care for that.
It's because it's genre.
American Horse Story has a lot of Emmys.
Ryan Murphy's got people in his pocket, I'm sure.
I like Ryan Murphy. I like American Horror Story. Because this, in all honesty, Mike Flanagan reminds me of that.
Yeah.
And not just because anthology, and not just because horror, because it
But it's like if American Horror Story was thoughtful.
Prestige, I mean, it masquerades as prestige, but it just sort of, I love how he writes for women and women of certain ages. Because I even compared Carla Gugino to Frances Conroy in our watch along, and also it's like he's managed to accumulate this very interesting and diverse ensemble, and it doesn't feel like it's being done for...
It doesn't hurt my feelings when they all show up in his next thing, because he never makes them do the same type of thing twice. Like, every single one of the actors is doing something different in every single one of the project. Like, Kate Siegel has not played the same character twice. You know what I mean? And I think that's really impressive. And even, like, the Tania Miller characters are as far away from each other as you can get, almost. It's very, very interesting. And again, with Henry Thomas, his stuff is really good. And bringing Mary McDonnell in...
Yeah,
I mean, wow.
Loved her.
Yeah,
loved her.
Really, really good. Really impressive.
There was a part of me that was sort of like, she hasn't been here the whole time.
Yeah.
So...
And again, making Zach Gilford play someone so despicable,
and Willa,
especially after his character in Midnight Mass, and
Midnight Club,
and then for me, on the heels of Friday Night Lights, which is my biggest memory of him as a person. It's
And Willa was also spectacular, considering. Again, I kind of shaded her a little bit. It wasn't intentional. I didn't mean to.
No, but like she's
also gorgeous to me now.
So beautiful.
I just needed something.
Some of her line deliveries were impeccable. Like,
especially during the bricking scene.
The bricking for sure, but
really good.
But also the scene she had with Annabelle.
Yeah.
Where she was like, "Oh no, you're not pretending." Like, that was very funny. It was very funny to me. Yeah, I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan. I can't wait for as long as he keeps that overall deal with Amazon and we get the SAG strike taken care of, I might read The Dark Tower just so that I can
be prepared.
Watch that.
Primed.
Yeah. Apparently like 14 books. And it's Stephen King, which I am like really hit or miss with. So we'll see. 2 thumbs way up.
Yep. I know, and I know that I haven't really offered a lot in these, like, this part of it, but I really, really liked it. And I'm a big old scaredy cat, and I loved it. So,
yeah. Because it's
she didn't do this to her eyes on purpose. But
I wanted to close your eyes.
Look at her sapphire eyes.
Didn't even mean to. I was just doing it too, and I told her, because we were just talking about it, where like anytime I do blue eyeshadow, I can't just do blue eyeshadow. But no, the way that turned out, and that specific like sapphire too, I was like, oh, okay, intuition.
I did want to say, I thought it was interesting because we did mention that she had like all of the like death totems or the like immortality totems or whatever. I did kind of think it was sweet that he was buying her those as like a birthday gift. I don't know why I thought that was like kind of sweet. Just that he was like going along with this like thing she's so fascinated by.
But also, if it's coming from Egypt, just leave it. Don't open it. Leave it there.
Okay, again,
I'll fuck around with Greek shit. I'm not touching Egyptian shit.
But again, though, what I found was really funny in like not a haha, but in like an ironic kind of way, is that he was like, he didn't go and dig those up. It was like he had to pay off like Egypt and the Egyptian military and the government and the museum and all this stuff. So it's like they already existed somewhere. He just like wanted to own them.
Yeah, and he cursed all of those people in his quest to get those sapphires.
Nah.
I'm good.
That Egyptian goddess knows who did the most wrong. And she got hers. She and Verna are gonna go grab drinks later, and Verna's gonna be like, "I got you, girl."
Goddesses are very reserved and discerning, and not at all
capricious,
volatile, or very known for their even.
Yeah.
Never once have they absolutely made the wrong decision in their punishment.
So there, butterflies and books, Greek mythology.
Yeah. He would do good at that.
Kind of like the Jim Henson storyteller.
Yeah, he'd do a lot of really good things well, but I'm with the Universal Monsters, and then I'm with you on Wuthering Heights, for sure. Yeah.
So okay, well, hopefully you enjoyed, and hopefully you'll be back for the next one that we do, and we've got more Desperate Housewives coming, and more Gilmore Girls coming.
True Blood.
Season 3 of True Blood will be coming.
Dawson's Creek.
We just have to we've been, all of our weekends have been busy, taken up by something. Yeah. But we're gonna get there soon.
And Teen Wolf, if you're watching at this point, Teen Wolf 3B is also coming. We're just taking a short break, but it's on and it's coming. So, bye.
Bye.
Nevermore.